Hey everyone, it is Val The Voice Johnson. So good to see you on this wonderful, wonderful, breezy afternoon. So grateful that we get a chance to, go live and be live. The Interludes podcast, its ninth season, is going to be streaming the vast majority of its episodes live. And I have a wonderful guest that I'm very excited to introduce to you all. And it's a Wellness Wednesday any old way, which is wonderful. But of course, we're going to say something and do something. I call it, let's do the intro. Here we go. All right. This is the Interludes podcast. And this, of course, it is the live version of it. And of course, this episode is being brought to you by A DJ Saved My Life. It is the what? It is the ebook that's available on purelightHousemedia.com. And of course, we're just so grateful that you're able to join us on today. If you'd like a copy of this, go ahead and scan the QR code and learn a little bit more about it. About that. Of course, I've learned how to, I call it play nicely with others. It's called having a creative fam. I discovered this creative fam on this platform called the House of Creativity. And this young lady has been phenomenal in, number one, being a personal empowerment coach. She is John Maxwell certified in coaching. And of course, doing Wellness Wednesdays with her has been a pleasure. Also, along with that, she is the author of not one, but two books and the host of her platform called Confused to Focus Talks with Lekeshia. That gives you a little hint of who I'm about to bring on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Lekeshia Mosley. How are you, Grand Rising? How's it going? Woo, 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 woo.
Grand Rising, Grand Rising. I am so happy to be here with you today.
I know. We have been I like to call it very productive bees in the arena. And like I said, it's been really good to, go ahead and share these things. I'm really curious when someone decides they want to become a personal empowerment coach, what's those thoughts or processes that lead you in that direction of saying, I've been empowered, but now I want to personally empower others? Where does that come from?
Yes, honestly, for me, when I began to take a hold of who I am and what that means to be me, you become really empowered. You really become resonated with yourself. And I began to really speak on it, especially when you've overcome so much, any challenges and things that come across your plate and you overcome it. I mean, it really puts a champion badge on yourself and you just feel empowered and inspired and you want to shoot the stars and share everybody. So honestly, it really just invokes so much into me to be able to share it everyone. So definitely being empowered, truly inspired.
Wonderful. And here's the thing for the folks now, ladies and gentlemen, she's a friend to the show. So she's been on the platform before. She's not new to our platform. We're just doing things a little bit differently and doing things live. But if for folks that don't know who Lekeshia Mosley is, who are you and what brought you to being an empowerment coach?
Yes, well, I am Lekeshia. I am an author, a midlife empowerment coach out here to shed light to the world to ensure that they can overcome anything. And just to be a person of influence, I want to make sure that you can overcome anything and you can actually oversee any obstacles that come in your path. And you can actually take control of your life. And if you have personal challenges, you can overcome them. And my whole goal is for you to know that you can, and with my own stories, with my overcoming and with health challenges as itself. So I began to speak about it and really show others that if I did it, you can too. So it's important for me to be able to inspire others that feel the same way and let them know that you can do it. I promise you can, because it did it for me.
And a lot of people may not know that you are a veteran. You served our country. As always, I tell folks, thank you so much for your service. Your journey from being a veteran, a mom, a wife, let us know what that was like, being and serving our country, and what led to other things happening in your world.
Yes, this is such a great question. Honestly, my journey when it came to the military, it came with, just the resilience to really want to honestly show others that they can do it. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it was to pay for college. It was to pay for college, honestly. And my father and my mom, they was all about me making sure I had my higher education. So they put
Right.
me in, the best schools, in the community. They wanted me to actually excel, not just go to school, but they wanted me to go to private school. So I went to private school most of my life, and I began to have higher education in that way. Now, I would say this: once I graduated, was about to graduate, my dad told me, they say, listen, I'm gonna be honest with you, we sacrificed so much for you to go to school, but when it comes to college, you're gonna have to make things happen on your own. So that was a shock for me. So at the end of the day, I just knew that, God was going to really triumph me when it came to this. So honestly, I began to really listen to all of those TV shows, or maybe, the flyers when it came to the Army and the military. And then it's like, let me see about this. Mind you, I was nervous at first because I thought everybody got shot in the military. I said, it's like that. I mean, honestly, you don't do that. But then talking to a recruiter, I realized that was not the case. Honestly, you're defending the country. You're actually doing something that's great for yourself, and you're actually able to have a great career. And guess what? They had to pay for school. That sold me, honestly, and that started my journey when it came to my life with the military. So I'm so glad that I did say yes to it, because it gave me so many opportunities for me to be able to level, and definitely gave me resources where I can grow into. So I began to really be a dot then. And I began to honestly, understand that I can actually persevere and move forward in anything. And honestly, it was a greatest opportunity that I did for my life.
Yeah, and a lot of young people go into the military and they use that to pay for school. But if there was a life lesson that you learned from the military, what's something that you took away from the military that you actually use in your empowerment coaching?
Yes, there was a lot of things that I took away. Honestly, it was resilience, courage, champion myself, strength. I mean, I felt like I can do anything when I began to do some of the things that the military has shown me. And I said, wow, I can actually begin to actually turn over someone bigger than me and actually achieve that. And they actually show me the different ways to do that safely, of course. But
Of
just be
course.
empowered to know the ways, it was really amazing for myself, and to be able to really achieve that and actually be able to tour all over the world. I mean, I traveled with my family, but I didn't go over, location to location, multiple locations, and actually not at the expense of my parents, but at the expense of somebody else, and actually able to achieve success in that way. It really just broadened my horizon, honestly. It began to show me a different way of looking at things, and I was able to actually know that I can actually achieve anything. So the military did give me strength in that area.
Wow. And just off the top of my head, where have you traveled that has left an indelible mark in your memory?
Yes, the travels were in country, not overseas. Traveling down south, it was really, really nice just to be able in locations at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, in the North Carolinas, being able to be in Florida, definitely in Georgia. just being able to see sceneries there was really amazing for me. And I realized that everyone did things different. I'm from Detroit. I say, what up though?
No.
And I'm a city girl. That's where I grew up. Mind you, my family was from the South. They were from North Carolina and from Little Rock, Arkansas. But I resided in the city. So I was resided where there was a street lights everywhere. Now, when I traveled to the South, they did things different. There were not street lights everywhere. I mean, it was actually deep woods. And, if you drive somewhere and there is, everything's dark, be careful because there are no street lights there. So it was, I always call it, you're not in Kansas anymore kind of syndrome. Like you're not by yourself. So, but it was really great. It was something different. And I was able to understand that I can actually commune in these different locations. They did things different. They ate differently. They actually prepared. They were nice. It was not city life. It was something different for myself. And I learned a lot and learned to really begin to understand a new way of thinking. Honestly, it was great.
Yeah, because I grew up down the street from you, not in Detroit. I was in the Chi. I was in Chicago, so that's down the street from you. Hi, neighbor.
I always call it 4 hours away.
Yeah. It's like we're neighbors, and we share this big thing called Lake Michigan.
Yes.
One thing that I thought about is I'm grateful for the experience of being out of Chicago and into New York. Like the world lives in New York City. You can go to any section of any part of the 5 boroughs and you could be in a completely different culture. The culture that is American culture or beyond, like what it would be your advice if there is anyone that has an interest in following through and saying, you know what, I'm thinking about becoming, going into military, going into, were you Army, Navy? What were you? What was the service?
Absolutely. So I started off with the Army. So I did serve in the Air Force later in life with the military. It was really awesome just to be able to transition into that. And just serving, I would start off with the Army. Being with the Army, it was really nice, being able to understand the basic skill sets, to be able to understand how, to actually build a dam and actually be able to, self-care products and things like that. You can actually eat in the field. I was eating in the field. So you can actually eat and have different locations there, but you can actually build shelter in the field, actually build a camp in the field. You know what I'm saying? It's sleeping in the woods, like literally self skills like that. That's something that you can learn. So the military, honestly, it's a great thing that really broaden your horizons to let you know that you can actually build in any location, in any area you can, honestly, just with the simple tools. So it was really, really great for me.
Yeah. And I feel like I want to make sure that people are familiarized with your background, because I think a lot of how you are now and the training that you receive from the military first definitely helped shape to who you are today. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. My training for what I am today, honestly, it really contributes to the military. Just understanding service, understanding don't leave a man behind, always be that champion to somebody. If somebody needs something, if they're struggling, be there to make sure that they're safe and, if they can move forward. Honestly, don't just put a Band-Aid on an open wound. Make sure to nurture that wound and make sure it is safe and make sure to get somebody else to help them out too. And where I don't have to do things by myself, always connect with others. Somebody is out there that actually can help you with anything that you have moving on. So I always had that mantra, and the military had that ingrained in me very early. And I joined the military at 18 years old, so It was a huge impact on my life. Yes.
Yeah. So I have to tell you that's really important. And like I said, when we come back, I want to talk to you now about what you're doing and how you have transitioned into being I like to call it a personal empowerment coach that was certified by John C. Maxwell, which means, ladies and gentlemen, you've invested in yourself when you become John Maxwell certified. I'm just saying. But we'll be back right after this. We're kicking off a whole brand new season. I know you guys have missed us, but we are back. And of course, it's always exciting and wonderful to have a very talented individual who has started a wonderful tech company. And then, of course, he is the host of Tech Thursdays on a platform called the House of Creativity. And he has just finished his book, Where? J. Mullane Wise. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. Val The Voice Johnson. I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me.
One thing I forgot to mention is that also about, I want to say October, November of last year, Wise stepped into the podcasting game, initially starting on Instagram and then started his platform, Wise Going Live. I was recently on the platform, but I think I've been there 4 times. It has been extremely gratifying to see how far you've come as a host, a podcaster, and also a moderator, sir. So I just wanted to say kudos.
Thank you. Thank you very much. When you're around great talent like yourself, Val The Voice, it only does inspires you to go forth. And we have amazing community of people that inspire us to actually, keep accountable. You keep me accountable. I keep you accountable. We all keep each other accountable, and we try to do the great thing to move forward.
What is going on? I got to do the opening. I didn't do that. Just like from that movie, I'm going to Get You, Sucker. Everybody needs a theme song.
And you got that right.
Everybody needs a theme song. Let's not get it twisted. We're back, and we're talking with our very own Queen Lekeshia. We call ourselves kings and queens in this space called the House of Creativity, and I'm just like real excited about what's going on. And of course, for your platform, you have created a couple of platforms. Before the show, we talked about you writing a blog and then also hosting shows. Like I saw some old video of Queen Lekeshia hosting a show like television and mic. There was cameras and everything, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's been doing this. She's not new to this. She's true to this. But a couple of years ago, Queen Lekeshia, when did you start the first iteration of your podcast, and who were you talking to at that point?
Absolutely. I believe I started my first podcast. It was around 2016. And it was around the time where I started my publishing my first book, How to Get Unstuck. That was the first version. And I began to show, that particular book, and I self-published it myself. Honestly, it was just something that I had to get out and really express to the world. It was just something that in me that really needed to get some verbiage out, how you can break free from something, and honestly, my motto was always, the woman with the issue of blood. And I used to begin to think about that and how she triumphed, even with her, illnesses and things that was going on with her. She persevered. And she walked towards to make sure that, for her to be able to get the healing that she needed. So really, honestly, I felt like I was her in a sense. I had to get this word out. I had to begin to talk about it. So in that regard, I began to start there with my podcast in 2016. And I began to champion my book, my self-published book. And I began to take it to churches. I began to take it to locations and began to get this word out. So within that process, I began to connect with other people that actually was able to take my book and said, you know what, this book is actually really great. It really needs to be broadcasted out somewhere. And going around in social media, it was Facebook too. And I began to connect with others, and they began to journey me over to Jerry Royce, who is Jerry Royce Live. And I began to connect with him. And he was all about, empowerment in live podcasting. And it was through Positive Power, LLC. And it was a Christian radio station. And I connected with him, and he's, I began to be able to broadcast a little bit with him when it came to my book. And then he opened me up the opportunity to actually be able to go live with my book on his platform. And as I went live with my book on the platform, I began to process live podcasts, and I began to interview others, and I began to have courses, and it started from there. And the Lekeshia Mosley show was on, and I have not stopped since then. So it's been really great. I've been able to produce. I began to have my own conferences, and it began to really begin to scale. So that was a journey I loved. And I know that started off with me speaking out and trusting. Amen.
Yeah, so that means 2016. So we're talking 8 years that you have been in some form producing podcasts or something, a presentation. Your first book, tell us about your first book and what was the inspiration behind writing that book? Because when you first came to us, you were telling us the Interludes podcast platform about your first book. How was it and how did it come to be?
Yeah, so my first book was called How to Get Unstuck. Mm-hmm. And it really is a self-help book, honestly, for others to be able to really relieve themselves from being stuck, for them to have clarity and empowerment moving forward. And I began to really talk about it with 4 steps, believe, receive, have faith, and definitely began to empower from there. And honestly, it was really, really great for me. And I began to understand just really how the process has really just helped us all really to understand how we can trust and believe in God, and knowing that we can excel and just really be a benefit for each other. And honestly, as you begin that process of understanding, decide what you want, and actually and believing in what you want, and actually able to, go in that process of understand and believe and giving thanks and gratitude, honestly, you cannot lose. And I began to have that mantra ever since.
And I think that mantra and definitely the thought process of putting this book together is definitely what led to the latest alliteration of your platform. Now, I have to show you all what I have been experiencing on Thursdays. It's this beautiful YouTube, and I'll just go ahead and show it real quick. I was like, oh, wow, look at the color scheme and everything. And of course, the branding that you are doing now is I Am Lekeshia. So tell us about the Confused to Focus Talks with Lekeshia and how that came about with your platform and also with writing and all the like. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So the Confused to Focus Talks with Lekeshia is really just an overload process of understanding how important that so many needed to be broken free from their limited beliefs. And honestly, I realized that it was a lot of people that were literally traumatized into mental health. Honestly, just not knowing how to rebuild, and honestly, not knowing how to really exist in themselves and understand with clarity. So me knowing that they really just needed some support and help with this, it honestly became a part of my mantra as well, just like the first book, How to Get Unstuck, Confused to Focus, and just really just understanding how, that, most people need to just really break free from a lot of emotional abuse and a lot of, the traumatic experiences that they're having. And honestly, to know that they can actually achieve success. A lot of times people give up. They say, I don't have time for that. And honestly, with that being said, I knew that they had time for that. So I began to not just me speak, I began to have other people on there speak about their stories, their journeys, and their ways, how they persevered and how they overcame those same situations that I had and that everyone else had. And they began to champion it. And that it really, honestly, Queen Val, it really has been a mantra ever since. Everyone was able to have a voice. Everyone is able to triumph themselves, and they were able to lift themselves. So it really has been inspiring.
I know. And I think what's really inspiring is what was developed for the YouTube channel. I want to call it the theme song for the platform Confused to Focus Talks with Lekeshia. Let's take a listen. Here we go.
In the heart of change, where shadows dance, midlife women take a brave stance. From career shift to emptiness, facing challenges, they do their best. Health and wellness, mind and soul, seeking balance to make them whole. Empowered voices, they rise and shine. On this journey they define. Confused to Focus with Lekeshia.
I'm telling you, that is such a beautiful intro to your platform. And of course, we're letting people know that on her YouTube channel, Confused to Focus Talks with Lekeshia, streams live every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, because we got people in different parts of the country, so we kind of got to represent for that. But like I said, how has it been literally going into your wellness lane and definitely talking about how people, being this empowerment coach, how people can go from, oh my gosh, my mind is everywhere, to focus, like knowing exactly what they need and how they need it?
Yes, one thing that I have noticed, that, we need to champion ourselves. And, that's why I focus on midlife women, and men as well, too. I want to make sure the men are not left out, but I do focus on the women a lot because I'm a woman. And, I began to say a lot of times in midlife, that is a turning point. Children are grown, they're leaving out into the neck of the woods. They're doing what they're doing. And, it's the time that we need to really take care and champion ourselves. We forget about the goals that we have in ourselves. We forget about the goals that were within us, when we're raising them. And we really need to champion ourselves to understand, no, we have a purpose. There's things in you that needs to be shared. There's things in you that still need to be expressed. Don't forget about that, because a lot of times we die on the inside because we don't have a vision. We don't have a purpose. We lose our identity. We don't know who we are anymore. And it's important that we know who we are and that we have, that goal in place to understand that when you find out who you are, share with somebody else, because there's somebody else that's like you that don't understand that they have worth. And that is my mantra. That is my mission. And with the Confused to Focus Talks with Lekeshia, that theme that you gave literally contributes to everything that I am. It's all women of all phases in life that goes through this journey. A lot of women are self-care, workers out there, and they're supporting some of the elderly. They're supporting it, but they are exhausted and they're stressed, and a lot of times we need to champion ourselves. They have love too. You can set some time for you. Go out to the movies. Go have fun. Go express that. Don't forget to do that, because you need to know that you can win and you actually do things of that nature. So when you do all of that together and have that balance in place, oh, wow. The sky is the limit. It really is.
I guess people would consider that to be selfish, to think about your needs and yourself and say that I need a break, or I just want to go to the movies or relax and kick up my feet. And it sounds like you're saying, no, we need to pay attention to that. I have a very good friend of mine who is caregiving for her mom, and she joined a group where they are all caregivers. And so she's always looks forward to when she's able to just take a break and do something outside of caring for her mom. Because as many of us are aging and we have aging parents, that becomes something that we do. And it sounds like you have that. You have really thought about that and thought through that particular process. With Confused to Focus Talks with Lekeshia, I was so inspired by what I heard and what I saw with that particular opening for her podcast. I like to call it the visual podcast. I edited my own audio promo for the platform. You guys, let's take a listen and see what it sounds like. Here we go. And the sound, where are you?
Feel like women are destiny.
As we navigate the journey from confusion to clarity in a world where women face career shifts, empty nests, and the challenges of holistic wellness, mind and soul, find balance, empowerment, and strength. Our show features thought leaders in the wellness space and offers intuitive mental health tips from a John Maxwell certified leader and coach. Together, we rise, breaking barriers and achieving our dreams. Tune in every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern for Confused to Focus Talks with Lekeshia.
From confusion to focus, we'll find our way. With Lekeshia's wisdom, we'll seize the day.
On the I Am Lekeshia YouTube channel. Let's find our way together. Yeah, I like it. 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 So we both are on a platform on an app called Clubhouse called the House of Creativity on Wednesdays. And I'm sorry, Monday through Friday, Queen Lekeshia provides us with a wellness article. And I'm telling you, more and more people are just chiming in and paying attention to the article and definitely what you share regarding this. Now, the fun thing about being a empowerment coach, it's called Let's Make Sure that we are doing what we can to, I don't know, just be well, especially when we are so, I like to call it pulled in so many different directions in our life. And I think what's exciting to me is that you have an upcoming summit that I love. And I know our listeners would love to know a little bit more about. It's the 2024 Breaking Free from Toxic Patterns. This is a summit that's coming up in October. Tell us more about that.
Yes, that's an amazing summit. It's called Breaking Free from Toxic Patterns. And it's a transformation summit for all of us to be able to engage and to understand how we can break free from a lot of the crucial areas in life that we don't know how to break free from. And honestly, for we can gain clarity, for we can take control of our lives. A lot of times we need to know how we can actually persevere some of the challenges that we have in life. And I'm telling you, it's not just myself as a lead host. It's 6 other amazing coaches and trainers and speakers that are going to be coming aboard the amazing summit to be able to express how they broke free and how they be able to translate life and be able to have great empowerment. And honestly, we're talking about financial coaches. We're talking about therapists. We're talking about tech coach and technology. And we're talking about, U.S. veterans, retired. We're talking about all different walks of life coming together and showing you how you can move forward ahead and how you can actually triumph yourselves. And they do it in their own way, just like myself. And they're able to share how they broke free. And then they're able to tell you how you can do the same. So, the great thing about it is that we're all a community. We're a family net, and we're able to express ourselves authentically. And I love the fact we're able to do that. And this amazing summit is on October 24th through the 26th, and it's for 3 days. And definitely it's amazing conversation. Honestly, I talk about conversations. We're going to be like-minded with each other, just telling you the truth in all the ways you can actually move forward in. And we're going to have so many different features. We're going to have gift baskets, amazing artistry work that's going to be happening. We're going to have music. It's going to be so many festive opportunities there at the summit. Honestly, people do not want to miss it. And it's an early bird special right now. So you definitely want to tune into it on my website on IamLekeshia.com to register for it. So I'm excited about it. Yeah.
I'm excited about it too. I'll be able to, I'm clearing some things off my schedule so that I can make sure to tune in. And like I say, I see Wise's picture is in here as well. So, of course, you guys go ahead and sign up and get in early. And of course, if there are some things you're trying to break free from, especially mental blocks, the ones that have you feeling confused as you go through your day and you're like, no, 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 no. Or if you have negative self-talk, that's something that I've been definitely battling with over the last couple of years. But definitely, what a wonderful thing. And of course, we say hello to Lori. Thank you so much for being here as always. And like I said, we appreciate the love here on the Interludes podcast live. But as we wrap up, Lekeshia, what is something you want people to know about you and how being a personal empowerment coach has helped you in your walk?
One thing that being a personal empowerment coach has helped me, because I was able to release, to actually be open to receive something new. A lot of times we may have a childhood where we may have a platform in life that we have a reoccurring episodes of the same thing that we grew up in that we really are displeased with. I had to learn that I didn't insure it, that I didn't love it, and I didn't want it anymore. And I had to begin to understand that I deserve to win. I deserve to achieve success. So I began to understand how empowering myself in this way, I began to break free from it. I began to understand, adopt a new way of thinking, new words to say to myself, understand to nurture myself. And I began to give myself some self-love. And when I began to do that, I promise you, it was.
And there's our queen, little frozen right now, but it's all good. We'll wait for her to come back. But yeah, the one thing that I love about Queen Lekeshia is that she has a phenomenal way to, I like to call it, empower you from where you are. And that was one of the reasons why I was like, I would love to have her on my platform. Like I said, she's a friend to the show, and we produce a couple of shows together. A couple of shows together, but definitely it's been wonderful and phenomenal that, number one, you can be empowered. You can fight through and get through whatever trauma that can happen or that could happen to you. I feel more empowered just knowing Queen Lekeshia. And like I said, it's really been a pleasure. If you guys will tell you a little bit more, breaking free from toxic patterns, that is the summit. And of course, please join her this coming Thursday. Confuse the Focus Talks with Lekeshia. It streams every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central. So glad that you're able to come back and close out with us. But like I said, Queen, this has been a real pleasure. And I thank you so much for letting us know what you've been doing.
Wow, it's been such an honor. I'm just so thankful for the opportunity, honestly, Val, just to be able to shed light for others to be able to understand that you can do anything and be anything. And just to have an opportunity to share that, that means the world to me. If one person's life gets changed, I know I did my part. I did my mission, and I'm never going to stop. This is really, truly an opportunity for me to shed the purpose that God given me. So I'm excited about it. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you so very much for that. Ladies and gentlemen, Lekeshia Mosley, give herself a round of applause. Woo! Oh my goodness. And of course, this episode brought to you by the personal memoir, DJ Saved My Life. It is how music gave me a purpose and a voice. It's part memoir and part ABCs of starting your own podcast. If you want to know a little bit more information, go to purelightHousemedia.net or scan the QR code that you see here. We'll be back next week with another phenomenal guest. And as in parting, I want to wish you guys a blessed and happy Wellness Wednesday. Y'all take care. Peace.